Hey, everybody, welcome to Every Damn Friday. I've got a good friend on here today. He's an Evanston County boy, down there around the caves. Did you grow up in Pig? Is that where you?
Born and raised, baby.
Oh my gosh, you didn't get any more country than that. I've got Mr. Rye Davis on today. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Hi, y'all. How's your mom and them? Appreciate you tuning in.
There you go. I was waiting for it.
Yeah, I was looking for a place to put it in there. I've got to do it now. Yeah.
I was just saying, well, how's your mom and them? Hey,
Uh,
man. So we've known each other for a long time. We've played quite a few shows together. You've played the barn here, but for the people watching, uh, you kind of music wasn't how things were going to start for you.
no, not even a little bit. I've always loved music, but I didn't know that music was as big a part of my life. Was a bigger part of my life than it was in everybody else that I knew. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Everything that I'd always done, it revolved around music. Everything and I'd loved it, and I was always into who wrote it and where were they from.
And I think that's something common. I've had a lot of people on here from other states, and they talk a lot about the Kentucky artists and kind of like why do so many songwriters come from Kentucky, and obviously a lot of it has to do with the rural upbringing and all that. But everybody played, like you know all my dad, my uncle, my aunt all played instruments. Now they didn't make a big deal about it. you
Yeah,
know my granddad surprised the hell out of me one time. He said, "Let me see that guitar." And I was
yeah,
like, "What are you going to do with that guitar?" And he sat down and started picking. And I was like, "I didn't know you played guitar." He's like, "Yeah." And so I think we kind of take for granted sometimes, because there's a lot of people around us that, whether it's church or whatever, music is a big deal.
yeah. Church was probably the second biggest influence. The first one was probably my dad. Growing up, because we had a dairy farm and a tobacco farm before they got into chickens and the whole 9 yards. But being in the milk barn, he always had the radio going, and I grew up on that. And he's a big Waylon fan. He was a big Bo Cephas fan, and then of course growing up, in the late 80s all the way through the 90s, a lot of that stuff had a big influence on me, and it was always on. But no, my first passion was baseball. I was pretty good at it, and played here at Evanston County, went to WKU and played, and I was drafted by the Indians, wound up with the Phillies. And when I was with the Phillies, I bought I was living in the La Quinta Inn and Suites with
Hmm.
Clearwater, Florida, when I was playing for them. And there was a Guitar Center across the street, which wasn't really the street. It was like a 8-lane interstate that I played Frogger over
I
there.
was
And
going to say, like Frogger.
yeah, and I went over there, and they had a sale on, they were Mitchell guitars, about this big, little travel guitars. And I had started playing a little bit when I was in college, but I got hurt. I got hit in the face with a line drive when I was pitching in an inter squad game, and it blinded me. And then my whole path then kind of swayed away from music. I learned 3 or 4 chords, and I think I learned to play Eric Church tune, an old Waylon tune, Amanda, and then I stepped away from it trying to get healthy again. Well, I wanted to get back at it because I had a lot of time in a hotel room, and didn't know how to play any other songs, so I went and I bought that and come back. And if I wasn't on a baseball field, I had a guitar in my hand. I was probably 22 or 23 before I'd ever really picked a guitar up, and started writing songs because I didn't know how to play. YouTube wasn't what it was today, and it was really you listen to the songs and trying to figure it out, and didn't know anything
And,
about.
and and you're right. It was frustrating because
Yeah,
I had all the chords on a poster in my dorm room,
yeah,
and I wanted to play all the songs of people that I liked, uh, but yeah, it's like once you knew the chords, you're like, well, I can just, if I people can't tell me I'm messing up my song. If I
yeah,
can play my song however I want.
yeah. So I wrote probably 10 or 12 shitty songs. Wrote a couple that I still play today. I wrote Blue Jeans is like my second or third ever song. I wrote it with a friend of mine, Jeffrey Blades, after I got back home. And then, man, I fell in love with it. I played a couple more years. I got released and had to get a real job. And then Robert
But
down here.
doesn't something like that, like, so I think there's a real correlation between sports and having been an athlete in high school, and we won a state championship when I was a freshman, and being
Yeah,
around it and seeing like how like it made everything possible somehow, right? So for you, the fact that you played in the major leagues, like you'd already kind of like punched a lottery ticket in with that,
yeah,
but it had to make you think, well, if I can do that, anything's possible.
yeah. Well, I didn't play in the majors. I was a minor league ball player.
All right.
I,
Well,
I
you
don't
got
want to.
drafted by the Phillies. Like what? It counts.
Yeah, it counts, and I spent some time with a big league club and spring training and stuff, but I never was on the 40 man. So I want to clear that up because that's
All right. All right.
yeah.
Fair
But
enough. I would have let it ride.
yeah, but to your point, um, there's something about too coming from the type of background that I come from. Like it's a lot of people grow up on a farm and the whole 9 yards. But that's all either one of my parents have ever done that's all my dad's ever done. And from the time I was, God, he was telling me a story the other day. The first time when they were setting tobacco, it was just him and my mom. And I was 3 years. I was about to turn. It's in between 3 and 4, and he pointed at a fence post at the other side of the field, and he put me on a tractor and put it in gear.
Of course, you
And
were already 5 foot tall, probably at 3 years
yeah,
old.
boy, I mean, don't get me wrong, but coming from that kind of background makes everything possible too. Seeing what my parents did, and then just knowing that if you put the work in, and then I come from Pig, Kentucky, in Edmonson County, and I didn't get recruited by anybody to go to college. And then once I started getting a few wins like that, there's something about coming from that type of background, having a little bit of success, and knowing that success didn't come from, it didn't come from where I was from. It didn't come from. I had some talent, but I wasn't more talented than everybody else. It just,
Nobody was writing a check. Nobody was. Your
no,
dad wasn't in the industry or whatever.
oh, no, I got no, I got no family in the industry. I got no ties to the industry except for the friends that I've made going down there and just saying and them saying hey, he's pretty good. Let's have a ride, or let's do a show or something. And I think there's something pretty sweet about that. Just
You
putting in.
know, Paul and I always said that about Jericho Woods. It was like, we did what we did. We had some success. We did more than I ever expected to do, probably. But at the end of the day, like we didn't sell our soul. We didn't owe anybody a bunch of money.
Yeah,
We didn't treat anybody like assholes. Like, and when you kind of go away from that, like you said, you still got all those relationships and all the people. It's like I probably had more luck with booking agents, getting people at the barn, than I ever did trying to get shows. Now,
yeah,
obviously, I'm paying their artists, but it was like, you know, but I had a background, so I knew people, and I said, hey, send me your roster of artists. I'm looking for some people, and all that kind of stuff kind of pays off. And it is at the end of the day, like it's all about those relationships. I mean, I can play in my house and get the same enjoyment, and I'd love playing in front of people. Uh,
yeah,
but it was about like who we playing with tonight. Like, I wonder if they're going to want to have a drink before or after.
yeah.
Like where, like you said, where are you from, and how's your mom and them? Like that was the neat thing, and then crossing paths with those people, kind of ebbing and flowing along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a fun ride, man. I've never, with where I was, I never expected too much of it. And then I got lucky and got on a TV show, never being in, Brandy, who's my manager now, and my wife first. She's my wife first.
Why first? Yes.
Yeah. Wife first. But, I got lucky and she said, hey, you should try out for this show. She's just my girlfriend at the time. And I did, and I got on it, and that's another one of those things to
Was it
where
The Voice?
I got on The Voice, but I didn't get on the TV rounds. So it's sort of the way that worked is like they give you like a yes or no. What they told me, they give me all yeses, and then they said, hey, we got so many country males ahead of you. If one of them backs out, then be expecting a call.
Gotcha.
the one that I got on TV was Rising Star. The one I shit the bed on was Rising Star.
look. So I've got a story. Like I was so against it. Like Dave Grohl with Foo Fighters, one of my favorite artists.
Yeah.
He's kind of got a black eye right now, but up to that point, like he could do no wrong. But this was in mid 2000s, actually early 2000s. I'm aging myself. But American Idol was big, and um, my wife was like, "You should try out before you age out," because that's when it was like past 27 or something, you couldn't do it. And but I'd heard him say one time, you know, if that's the way you if that's the way you become famous, like, that's a go out and play the shows, like go play the bars, go do the thing, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know. So I did it. So and Costello was like, I want just give it a shot. Like, okay. So we go to Freedom Hall, and there's like 14,000 people there, and we waited all day long, like 12
Yeah.
hours. And like at lunchtime, they'd already said, "Hey guys, don't bore us. Get to the chorus. Like let's get. You're only going to get one song, maybe half a song." And I was the last section to go in Freedom Hall, and it was like I was just spent, like kind of like you said, like I just kind of like I don't even remember what song I sang. Like at that point, I had I talked myself in and out of this being a good idea, and changed songs 50 times, and was hungry and tired, and like I said, and they were like, "Man, no thanks."
Yeah.
And that was that. So maybe I sabotaged it, but
I got in there and Brandy told me to do that, and I was like, whatever. And I wanted to press her at the time. We'd only been dating a couple of weeks, and I went and I did the thing, waited in the line like you said forever, did the thing, and they got just kept getting yeses on it, and got on there, and it was another one of those things to where like I was really young in my music career and didn't know what the hell was going on, but once I got on there, I kind of seen like what that side of the industry was, and like sort of how. I mean, if we're being honest, they had the guy that won it. They already had the commercial made within week 2 of
yeah.
like, but and that getting to see that, knowing like with where I was, and like you kind of seen like there's two options in this business, and either way, you still got to get to know people.
Right, yeah.
You still got, but you need to get to know your people and the people that believe in what you're doing, and the people who have done it kind of the right way, and you just kind of make your music and do your thing and make your art. There's no secret to success, because some guys get famous like that, and other guys who are just unbelievably talented never see the light of day because they're so focused on doing what's important to them. And I think both of them works great. But with what I'm doing, I'm somewhere in the middle. I've always kind of stuck to my classic. I'm the same way it was when I was playing ball. I didn't have anything fancy, but I could throw the shit out of one. I could throw the shit out of it. So when all else failed, I throw it right down the middle. And
There you go.
with me, it's I write country songs. I get every once in a while I'll kind of get a little. We used to call it getting pretty. Don't get too pretty when you're playing ball and you're out there pitching. It's like, for me, my thing, I like to experiment on my music, but when it comes down to it, it's a country song. I'm throwing it right down the middle. I'm singing as country as I can, because that's my roots, and that's how I express myself.
But I do think there's some, and I've seen you do it. Like you're, obviously social media is a bigger part than it ever was, and you post a lot of videos. You try to do a lot of content. I'm sure it helps having the wife in the house. You can say, "Hey, get the camera. Let's go do a thing." Or she's probably saying, "Get your ass out there on the tractor. We're going to do a thing."
Yeah.
but I've talked to a few people on here, and kind of like you say, like sometimes I'm getting too pretty, but I do think you really do have to look at it as a business person too, and go, you know what, I could sing this song, uh, and maybe I'm going to offend a bunch of people. It's something I really believe. Is this the right time for me to take to die on that hill, or I'd like to maybe do a co-write with this person, how's that going to be looked at, or if I get on this show with this person, is that a good thing or a bad thing? You still have to think about that stuff, and be I don't know. It's like you're still being tactical, you know,
Yeah.
and trying to make the right moves. The guy from Sugarland, I heard him say one time that becoming successful is like 10,000 little bitty decisions that you made along the way.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can do three things and it leads to success. It's a million little things where you took this show instead of that show, or you went to the bathroom and bumped into this guy that introduced you to this other guy. Um, but I think you are 100% like you found your tribe, like, and
Yeah.
you have, and um, you know, the people that I see you playing shows with, you know, they've got the same kind of like credentials as you, um, and then like Dallas Moore used to tell us, he's like, just don't go away. He said,
Yeah.
that's the big thing. He said, if you bump up against the wall, you know, instead of just stopping and saying, well, I can't get over that wall, he's like, bounce off of it and go the other direction for a while.
Yeah. Did I tell you, have I ever told you my Dallas story?
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
guess.
Dallas is, he's sort of the reason that I got started. He's the reason that I started doing music full time.
Really?
Yeah. I was doing a show with him at the Spillway, and I'd only played, I don't know, 10 or 12 shows at the time. And, you
Hey,
know,
woogie boogie, amigo.
yeah. Robert up at the Spillway I'd ask him, like, hey, if you never need an opener for anybody, I'll come in and play for free, you know, because it's in Bowling Green. Had a pretty good relationship, and I was a local. Back then, all my friends would come out and drink, you know what I mean?
Right.
Now, you know, they all got kids and other shit to do.
Yeah.
But so he said, yeah, we got this guy, Dallas Moore. Come and check him out. He's a road dog, a legend. Like, if you want to make a living doing music. And I was working at, it's either Bobcat of Bowling Green, or I worked at a greenhouse afterwards, like, you know, and I can't remember which job it was, but whatever it was, I was really wanting to just go play bars, because it was just me. And
Yeah.
so I waited around after mine, and Dallas come in. He was getting him a drink at the bar, and I start talking to Dallas. Of course, you know how he talks. And I'm like, Dallas, I said, you know, I'm Rye Davis. Like, I'm having some trouble. I said, I really want to do kind of what you do for a living. I said, but I don't know if I should uh, keep my job or if I should just dive in. And he got him, I think he drinks like an old fashioned or something. I can't remember
Yeah.
what. And he took him a drink of it, and he looked at me and he goes, cannonball, motherfucker.
Yeah. Let her rip.
Yeah. And
Well,
job. You know, I put him 2 weeks, worked about 4 more days, and went to the, you know, went wide open, and went broke for, you know, 2 or 3 years. And
look, so I when I quit teaching and to do it full time, he was a big influence on us too. Like Paul reached out to him and said, "Man, we need to play shows and we need to get out in Ohio and Indiana and Georgia." And he said, "Amigo, I'll give you a list of every place I play, and you tell them Dallas sent you."
yeah,
And that meant a lot, because
yeah,
if Dallas had recommended us, more than likely they'd give us a shot.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's been around doing it for a long time and helped a lot, and doesn't get as much credit as he needs to, as far as like guys. I've never seen him not be open to anybody at any level, you know, and I love Dallas. Like, you know, if anybody
Well,
plays, he does, and still be that kind-hearted toward somebody is a special person to me. So
well, and his and Jenna's relationship kind of mirrors your all's too. So
yeah,
that's kind of neat, and they're definitely good role models. Um, you I've over the years, you and I have talked, and there's been times where you're like, man, I don't know about this, and you know, but it seems like once you and Brandy really kind of locked in, like like, you know, especially with her, you talk about this new management project that she's got going on.
yeah. So she's been managing me now for 5 or 6 years, where she books all my shows. She books a lot of my rights. She's the one that kind of keeps an eye out on what's going on in town. I just live like an hour and a half north of Nashville, so she keeps an eye on what's going on in town. And if there's a show going on I need to go to, she buys the tickets. She's down there, you know, with me as much as she can be, even since we had the kids, and building those relationships we was talking about. And she's just there are certain people in the world that stay in contact with people and have I don't know. She's never met a stranger. She's always been great at nurturing relationships in a real fashion. Like when she meets somebody, she's never meets them and thinks like, this person's going to do good for us, and that one's not, so I'm not going to. She treats the janitor the same way she treats the CEO. And
Well, and she's as nice as she is pretty, and that doesn't
yeah,
hurt either.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that means she's real nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so she started. I had a bad management deal when I first got off of that show, is what it amounted to. And it was going to turn out like if I'd released any music, then like they would have got a part of it basically forever. So
Those sunset clauses are a
yeah,
bitch.
yeah. So I got out of that, and I was like, I don't want anybody else to manage me. I want you. I want you to manage me. You know, at the time, I was like, you're the only one that knows what I'm doing that I trust. Like, let's just start from zero and go. And we have. And she's built a real good. She's built a really good base of venues that she's got really good relationships with. She built a really good, solid relationships with people in the industry. You know, on the publishing side of, you know how that works. Without diving
Oh yeah.
into on the side of things, and on the record label side of things. And she just wanted to do her own thing, like instead of like trying to, you know, push me off to these other places. Because I'm terrible at getting back with people anyway. Like I've got 890 something text unreplied to text messages, and you can't be in me. So she took over. She took over my career, and she's taken over Brandon Martin's career, who's another great artist and a really good
Yep.
friend of mine. And Brandon and I have a lot of similarities in the fact that like we're both really focused on the music. We really like to go out and play the shows. We work real hard on that stuff, but the other things, like we need a little bit of guidance. It's not that we don't know what's going on. It's just that if I got whatever whatever it is that like when I got something that I like doing, that is the only damn thing that I'm going to do. You know.
Well, and look, we had a good friend who worked for Red Light and worked with uh, Luke. Oh my God, Luke Bryan, and he was a super great guy from Brett County back home, and I would ask him for advice all the time, and his advice was always, man, you don't need a manager until you do, and then once you get to that point, you have to think real hard about whether or not you need one anyway. Like
Yeah.
if you've built any kind of success without one,
Yeah.
you know, he's like, we just go through people and we're, you know, like I'm on to the next one when one doesn't work out. But I think for me, because you're right, because I thought I'm gonna be a badass guitar player. I'm gonna get to write songs every single day because I quit my teaching job. Like I'm 100%, 24 hours a day. I'm gonna get to do music, and I ended up about 16 hours a day answering emails
Yeah.
and calling venues and messaging festivals, and because you got to do that part, and and if you don't have somebody do it for you, then you know that takes up all your time.
Yeah, yeah, and it's the biggest gift that I have been given is Brandy on every aspect of my life. And you know, other artists see that. You know, she's got hundreds of people asking her, especially since she announced the long haul entertainment deal with me and Brandon. Hundreds, if not thousands, of folks just asking if she can help them out, and she would love to help everybody out. But you
Right.
know, if we get me going and Brandon going, we're going to have an opportunity to help out a lot of the folks that we really believe in. It's kind of what we were looking at. And
Well, I think that's a good model. I mean, that's what's worked a lot. You look at Cody Jinks and the people
yeah,
he brought with him. You know, and I mentioned uh, you know, Luke. You know, think of all the, you know, he brought Cole Swindell. He brought, you know, all the, you know, it's kind of like if you can get you a little core group of people,
yeah,
uh, you're all mutually, you know, mutual admiration society, but you're also all helping each other. When somebody, you know, you're, it's kind of like you got to keep putting that stuff out in the universe. And if you've got a team, you're hitting a whole lot more, you know, ears than you are just one person banging it out.
yeah. And so long story short, she's the best there is at she's a matchmaker, I guess would be the best way to describe her. Like
I can
if I,
see that.
yeah, you know, if we need somebody to play with in a certain city, or if we needing to, if I got something I want to do with a particular song, she always finds somebody, you know. And if it were just me, You wouldn't get it. Or if I did have a, one of the bigger name management companies, out of Nashville or a label or something, I'm a 36-year-old man who is pretty good at what he does, but I'm going to be at the low end of the totem pole. You know what I mean? Like if I ask people to do those things, I kind of get, at least that my experience with my first management kind of company was, we got some guys ahead of you and we'll get to it when we can, but there's probably,
Well, I think you have the best of both because you have someone who's an extension of you.
Yeah.
That it is personal, and it matters as much to her as it does you. I always tell people in the last 5 years, I would just want to do it myself because nobody's going to care as much as me or put as much time into what I'm trying to do as I am, unless you had somebody like Brandy. So I think that makes it special. And I've got friends that I've tried to do some people that I'm heading over to England in April, and I was trying to line up a couple people, and one of them was like, my management's trying to put it together, and that's fine, but he was having to sit on his hands and waiting for them to. I was like, man, I just called some friends, like, who do you contact over there? Found somebody, let's book some shows. I just want to play 3 or 4, turn around and come back home, maybe do it again, at the end of the year, just like, and you need somebody like Brandy who really champion you. And that doesn't happen very often.
No. Well, she's feeding her babies too. You know what I mean?
You're a team. I like a real team.
Yeah.
What about music? What we got coming up?
Well, I've got a live
that you can talk about.
What's that?
That you can talk about.
Well, I can talk about it all. Like you said, I'm independent, baby. I can talk about whatever the hell I want.
There you go.
I've got a live album. We did an album release party at Renfro Valley, and that went great. And we recorded that, and I'm waiting on getting the mixes back. I've got them all, but like 3 mixes, and I've got all the album art and all that stuff done. I'm looking, hopefully, sometime around end of February, early March, getting that thing out. It sounds great. I've got something new that I've tried. I've got a concept album that I'm hoping to release shortly after that. So it's every time I sit down and write a song, especially by myself, somehow somebody always gets killed. And and I'm a big storytelling guy at heart. And I got a collection of criminal storytelling kind of killing some. Everybody don't die, but they're all criminals.
I like the concept. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I've got that done. I don't know exactly how I want to release it yet because I'm also going back in studio. I've got a lot of music coming out. So
look, and that's the difference between when you and I have started, and I started a little ways before you did. You kept that music, real tight to the vest, and you didn't release it until a certain day, and it was, and and your album cycle was 1 or 2 years, like. It was all. Now it's the Wild West. Like you put out. I've been leading up to this record I have. Like I'm getting ready to do single number 4, and which was counterintuitive to me before because you're putting all this music out before it's available as a record, right?
Yeah.
But nobody's going to buy my CD or my record if I can afford to print them. So I've gotten more mileage out of just being present and having more music out than I ever had before. And I mean, Zach Bryan, look at him. What's he released? 500 songs in the last 3 years? I can't, it's getting to the point where I can't tell the difference between all of them, but there's no doubt that it has worked. It's being in the public, being in there, being in front of them. And I say release something every month, man. Like, give them all the Rye Davis you got.
Yeah, I like it more than I thought I would too. Once you kind of started seeing the change, and a lot of my buddies and a lot of other guys in the industry, they really like the I'm going to make this album, and every couple of years I'm going to release it. But for me, artistically, man, it's really kind of pushed me to you know, if I want people to listen to my music, you can't, because I kind of disappeared during COVID for I broke my leg and I had 2 kids in 3 years, you know, and it really
Did,
kind of like
did all that didn't happen together, right?
Yeah, actually it did. I broke my leg 3 days before we had our first kid.
Oh my
So,
God.
it was a tough time, but it set me back, and it put me about 3 years in between, you know, my first like releases. As far like I had like a single or something I dropped at one point, but it's
See,
really
it did the opposite for me. It made me. I bought a bunch of equipment,
yeah,
and I was kind of locked into the mothership here
yeah,
in the shop, and just was really like, you know what, I'm kind of in. I well, and everybody figured out how to record music remotely, and I
yeah,
could send tracks to people on a click and be like, hey, can you put drums on this? Can you put bass on this? And that really kind of opened things up for me to be like, you know what, I don't have to tour as much.
yeah.
And to what you're saying about these album cycles, like once I've written a record and played it for a couple months,
I'm
like
ready for the next.
I'm over it. Like
And
it was a year's worth of experience maybe, but I'm done. Like I want to do something new. And that's
yeah,
that ADD you was talking about.
yeah, and that's the part of it that I like is like once I get the album done, I'm already like by the time they heard it, I'm already working on another one. And once I get that done, I don't have to keep playing that last album. You can just put it out there. So as a
Yeah.
songwriter, like I love being able to okay, we got this one done. Also, 3 months, you know, I released my last project I believe it was like the end of March last year. So it's been less than you know, and when you start thinking about it, it's like that's almost unheard of. You know,
Yeah.
every year's a lot, and then you mix in a live album in between it and some concept shit. It's
Look,
I like it as an artist because it kind of keeps me on my toes, and I like the fact that like if I disappear, people are going to quit giving a shit. So it kind of forces me to be like, all right, you got to get tuned back into wherever the hell you get these things.
yep.
The thing, my problem is uh, I'll start because I've got a farm here too. You know what I mean? I've got 110 acres, 54 mama cows, and 2 kids. So if I'm not like on my game, and like if I'm not thinking in terms of hey, I got to get something else out, I'll go start, you know, doing something else, and then I'll turn around and be like, oh,
Fix and
I want
fence.
music, yeah, you
I,
know.
I like to bounce around too. I'm working on an old '64 Chevy pickup truck right now,
There you
and
go. I'm sawing timber. Me and my dad put about we had that big ice storm or that big tornado about a year ago now, and it took
yeah,
out fences and stuff. My dad bought a sawmill. He did that when he was a kid, and some off-brand China-made chainsaws, big as a steel chainsaw you've ever got. And we
I
bought,
like those that you just sit there and
yeah, yeah. So he bought a the you know bandsaw and everything you could think about. So we just
planers and all that stuff.
yeah, we've been sawing it, and I've done. I had a half a point to build me a cabin. Now I'm remodeling my house and shit. And it's like, you know, you need to get back to making my yeah.
But I think that's important though to be able to bounce back and forth. I mean,
Yeah,
it's that life that's feeding your ideas. Like, it's like driving down the road. That's when the song comes, or like you said, you're out there in the tractor checking cows, and something pops in your head, or you're listening to other people's music, and you hear a line, and you kind of go, I can make something with that. You're talking about songwriting too. You do a lot of co-writes. Is that something too uh, that you aspire like? Would you be excited about getting a cut or something like that?
that's yeah, that's kind of my goal now. Having a couple kids, uh, I love. I'm a performer, entertainer first. Just something fall over. I thought I was getting attacked in here. Golly. Uh, I'm a performer and entertainer first. You know, I write the songs and then I like to go out and perform them and like give them a life. And but since we've had a couple kids and I've got this farm up here, you know, I've got this beautiful piece of property, and my biggest outside of Brandy, my other biggest advantage in my music career is the fact that I live so close to Nashville. It's an hour and 10 minutes to right in the heart of Nashville. So
And you
I'm
can
in
get
I'm
and you can get to Music Row faster than the guy that lives over. You
in
know,
Murfreesboro. Yeah,
yeah,
I really can. And so my goal in the next, 5 years or so is to get. Me and Brandy call it street cred. There's something about if you can go in and you can co-write a song and you get one cut, you've got that on your name forever, and that's
Yep.
something that you kind of build your career around as far as the type of shows and things that I play. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to take off and get,
Be in
millions
the
of.
bus and do the whole thing.
Yeah, that'd be great if that had, those. But I've already seen doing what I'm doing, and you've seen it too. Like you can go out and play. I mean, last year we played like 170 shows, counting the ones in Nashville, and it doesn't matter if they love you or not. Like you're gonna get one or two at a time, and that's great, and I love it. But there's something to be said, and there's something that kind of pushes you creatively as well to go down there amongst other people who are doing like things a little bit different than you are, and you're kind of learning new things as you go, and you really learn how to craft the song. And yeah, I would see myself now in the past 2 years as a songwriter first. And the reason I play those shows is outside of paying the bills, is to give those songs life, like the way that I think they need to be presented.
Well, and I've grown an appreciation for that and those kind of performers more over the last 10 years, probably, just because early in my career, I tried to out sing people.
Yeah.
And along the way, you realize that it was the song that people liked, not necessarily the way you sung it. And I would kind of turn my head at these people I didn't feel like were really good singers, but
Yeah.
they had all these followers and great fans, but it was because of what they were saying and the story. Like they didn't carry the delivery. It's like Towns Van Zandt is not a great singer,
Yeah.
but he told the best stories.
Yeah, but by golly, he's got some good ones.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But I think that's admirable too. Like I I see some similarities in you and me too. That family dictated how deep I was willing to swim out into the ocean on a lot of things, and
Yeah.
I've been blessed to be around these last few years for all the big things and
Yeah.
all the games and the concerts and recitals and we can keep banging around in these bars forever, but they're going to grow up and be gone. I've got an 18-year-old that's going to be coming your way next fall to Western. So, he got all sorts of topper love, but it's it means a lot. You'll never regret that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got two baby girls.
No, I got a little girl and a little boy. I got
Okay.
They're just 18 months apart. And that's kind of some of the stuff that's dictated my career. Number one was, having her. And then once he came along, we were just figuring out how to do one. And then we had two. And then Brandy was always on the road and stuff with me. And then me being so close is like, that's kind of that's a path that I am leaning really hard on this year. If I'm not in Nashville every day writing with somebody, I'm writing with somebody on just like this, 4 days a week at least. And it's really, I didn't know that I would like it. I don't like the late nights. The only thing about driving an hour and a half is like, so like my week this week looked like I drove down there Monday to see a show, somewhere like Bobby's Idle Hour or something. And then Tuesday I played whatever it was. I was in Nashville every day this week, and I got in at like 4:00 in the morning every evening. You know what I mean? And but at the same time, or about 3:00, and the kids are up at 7:30. There we are. You sleep and I get to get the kids up, and we got snowed in the past couple of days, but it's a lifestyle that I'm learning to love. I really thought all I wanted to do was go out and play my songs. But here lately, it's really something, because I'm getting to meet a lot of cool ass people too, man. Some people that are doing some really cool stuff, and they're inviting me in on some of these writes, and it's going good. So I don't know where it's going, but I know it's good, wherever way it is going. So
there's progress, not perfection.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever done anything perfect in my life, but I've been.
It wouldn't do you any good that you'd have to quit.
Yeah.
So
That was,
you and I got a show coming up here in a couple weeks in Litchfield, which is in between us. So it's
yeah.
kind of a hometown show for both of us. But it's in Grayson County at Litchfield, there at the Alice Theater. Looking forward to that. I've never been in the place, but it looks like a really pretty joint. I'll make sure that I've got the ticket link attached with this, so that people that are interested in coming to listen to you tell your stories will know where to get tickets. What other shows you got coming up of note?
That's a good question. I got another hometown show in a couple weeks, in the Spillway, and that kind of kicks off my tour. I do that every year around February. I'll kind of kick things off there, and then I know we're going up to Ohio, playing a place called Squeaks up there, and then I've got a joint called in a place called Wapakoneta or something. Route 33 Rhythm and Blues, pretty cool joint. No, we're heading to South Carolina. Got a show with Frank Foster.
Nice.
Up down, he's great too. He's completely independent. He's down in Alabama somewhere, and I got a bunch of them. I just posted all my shows through March, and I've got them through July. So
if people want to find out stuff, where they go?
just ryedavis.com. That's the best way to do it. I'll post it on my social medias and stuff like that, but it gets drowned. If you like what I'm doing, go to ryedavis.com, tell your mom and them, check out a show and bring your friends. That's what I tell them. Guaranteed to be a good time.
Well, man, I'm tickled that to call you a friend, and I've enjoyed watching your path too, because you're none of us are on an island, and it's been nice, and we're always rooting for people that we're fans of and that we're friends with, and it's I'm really proud of the artist you've become, and how hard you work at it. I think it, regardless of how things turn out for you, you've done it the right way, and I think that means a whole lot.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, man. I feel the same way about you. I've been following y'all for a long time, and it's good to see you kind of doing your own thing now.
Hey, it's like now the only person I can disappoint is me. So so if I do that, it's my own fault.
Yeah.
Rye, I can't wait to play with you, guys. Everybody go out there and stream his music. It's available on all the platforms. But at the end of the day, the merch and the physical music is what keeps him on the road. Go to ryedavis.com and buy some stuff and come out to a show and see the real thing. I promise you, it's better than what's coming out of your phone. Rye,
Yeah.
I will. I'll see you here in a week or so, and hopefully we don't get snowed in again this weekend, and you can make all your rights next week.
Yeah, hope so. We'll see you in Litchfield, man.
All right, buddy. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching every damn Friday, and until we see each other again, thank you, Rye.
Appreciate it, buddy.